All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this webinar. I'm Gary Summers. I'm with ERPA, and we're going to wait a minute or two more as I still see some attendees logging in. So if you can hold with us for just a moment, we'll start in about 30 seconds. All right, well, let's get started. I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar on testing as a service. Good morning to everyone on the West Coast. Good afternoon to everyone on the East Coast. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. My name is Gary Summers, and I am a senior client executive with ERPA. I've been working in this field for over 40 years, and I'd like to also introduce Sai Krishnan, who's a senior program manager and for solution delivery for the testing automation services product line. Sai has a significant amount of experience. He's got experience with all three PeopleSoft pillars and has worked with the product for many years. So we'll learn a little bit more about Sai as we go on. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So first we have our introductions. This is our agenda for today. I'm going to talk briefly about ERPA, who we are and what we do, and then common challenges for PeopleSoft customers in their testing efforts. Then we'd like to talk a little bit about our testing automation capabilities and what some of the benefits that our customers have experienced through using automated testing. We'll show you some of the steps in the automated testing process, and then we will actually demo the ERPA testing tool for both the Campus Solutions product, HCM, and financials. We'll talk about some customer use cases, and then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A. Now, if you notice on your webinar attendee panel, you can ask us questions. If you want to, you can chat with us, and we'll be monitoring that during the course of this call. So if you have any questions as we begin our discussion here, please feel free to ask them. And if it makes sense to ask at the time you ask them, answer them at the time you ask them, we will. If not, we'll hold them till the end. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. There we go. Previous slide, please. A little bit about ERPA. We were founded in 1999 to do PeopleSoft. We've worked with over 1,500 clients. We've been working with PeopleSoft for over 20 years. We have offices in Ohio, Nevada, Texas, and Florida. And we specialize in PeopleSoft. We also have a Workday practice. We specialize in migrating PeopleSoft customers to Amazon Web Services. We've just successfully migrated a couple of clients to AWS. We also do a lot of work with business intelligence and big data. We're proud of our track record, 100% customer success. We have more than 500 employees, and we've done over 250 PeopleSoft upgrades. We're an Oracle partner, we're an AWS partner. You can see all this, but also we're one of the top places to work, named by CEO Magazine. We've been honored by Inc. 5000, Columbus CEO. We're headquartered in Dublin, Ohio, that is, not Ireland. And we're always consistently rated as one of the best places to work in Dublin. Okay, now we can go to the next slide, please. Next slide, please. There we go. The core of our service offerings is PeopleSoft, and we've got a 20-year record of excellence in our PeopleSoft services. We have 500 employees. They average over 500 employees with over 10 years of experience. And we make continued investments into our Center of Excellence in Dublin, where we have a customer support team that supports many of our clients remotely. And it's also a center for innovation. So one of the things we work on out of our Center for Excellence is innovations like this testing automation tool that we're going to be talking about today, and other technical upgrade accelerators. We also have a culture of care. We have a strong commitment to our customers, our employees, and our communities. We have a customer success team, and we are consistently rated as one of the best workplaces around. And we have also founded a sponsored kids foundation too. If you'd like to hear more about that, we can talk to you about that offline. Next slide, please. So you're on a testing automation call. One of the questions I'd like to ask you is, who loves testing? I know that probably the reason you're on the call is because you find testing to be difficult, challenging, and time consuming. Could we go to the next slide, please? There we go. We've got a couple of poll questions we'd like to ask. What are your roles in testing? Select one or more of the following. We'd be interested to know who in our audience is a functional person primarily responsible for testing, technical person, or management. So if you could answer that poll question, we'll close that out and we should be able to see the results here on the screen. Okay, I think you can close it out now. Let's see that.
So good afternoon and good morning. Just want to let you know that we have a equal balance of close to 45% functional, 40% technical, and almost 30% in all the combinations. So it's a great mix of that we have today. And welcome.
Could we ask the second poll question now?
Absolutely. So here we go.
Which applications are you responsible for testing? Campus Solutions, HCM, Financials, iHub or Portal, or others? If you could answer that, we'd appreciate that. Then, Sai, I think you can close that out.
All right. So we have close to 30% of the participants supporting campus, close to 60% HCM, and 60% fills supply chain, and maybe 20% portal, and close to 18% others. So okay. It's kind of a mix. I mean, there's a multiple application pillars people are responsible. So that's a great mix.
Great, thank you. And I think we have a third question as well. You want to throw that up on the screen, Si?
Absolutely.
So what test scenarios consume most of your time for your organization? Upgrades, PUMs, audits and compliance, customization and enhancements, or performance related? So if you could answer those for us, we'd appreciate it. And I think you can close that outside.
Okay, that's also as expected. We have close to 70% of the folks who support upgrades, 70% on the PUMs, and another 70-75% on the customization and enhancements, and 20% on our performance related. So that's the things that consumes most of their time and effort. That's good to know.
Excellent. Excellent, thanks. So if you could go to the next slide. As we talk to our customers, they face a number of challenges in testing. And primarily among these challenges is that the demand for repetitive testing is frequent and high. We all know that with PUMs and with customization enhancements, there's a lot of call for testing, and they tend to be very repetitive tasks, and they create a lot of time, resource, and constraints on staff members. Another challenge when you do repetitive testing like this is assuring quality and lack of standardization. So, Sai, if you could go to there we go. So here are some of the challenges. Go ahead, Sai. Yes.
So as we see, most of you have been involved in testing for I believe many years, and as the poll mentioned, that the PUM upgrades are the key. PUM are the updates and also the new module applications. So this is where the time is consumed a lot. It's repetitive. PUMs come 4 times a year. Sometimes it's if you have to apply them regularly, it's like every time it's too frequent, or if it is kind of accumulates a lot of, and the customizations are all the time. The business environment keeps changing. There are requirements, and one thing that kind of stops, or you keep thinking about, is stops you from doing these customization is like, okay, it's a humongous testing effort that we need to do. So that's a challenge for the customers, and also assuring the testing. Well, the end point here is we want a clean system in production, and in order to do that, there's a lot of testing that needs to be done, a lot of repetitive testing needs to be done, and all these challenges, assuring great quality, and there is no standardized procedure for testing. In many of the organizations, we have business analysts and the testers, they have their own way of doing testing. Their test scripts are hidden in their desktops sometimes, or different groups, they have to come together. So a lot of effort is being made. And the testing is so repetitive that from one environment to the other environment, you guys have to do a repeated testing of the same thing, now different data, different scripts, and there is a lot of functional time that is kind of spent in these efforts. And the compliance is also like periodically you have to make those regulatory updates, and it has to be tested. And obviously, without testing, you cannot send anything to production. So a lot of time consumption happens during the critical period, and these are the times where the functional or the business can focus on more productive or more better enhancing the business process work, rather than doing repetitive testing in various environment. Not only that, also when these critical time happens, where you are talking about open enrollment or the tax season, or financial close or W2, there is a lot of performance issues kind of come up. So you got to prepare your system, you got to test them to ensure your production is prepared. So these are some of these very important challenges that the customers today face.
Sai, could you tell us a little bit about what testing automation actually is and about the testing life cycle?
Absolutely. So anything that is repetitive and frequent kind of causes doing the same work again and again, and testing is no different. And testing life cycle, it has got its own stages, its own phases, like from a requirement to test planning to test design to environment. Everything is involved, and every phase has a deliverable, and these things have to be done repeatedly across various environments as well. And this is where the opportunity comes. Anything that is repetitive or done like a more robo fashion with intelligence, we want to utilize automation, and that's what we do here. So in here, we can automate most of these phases to completely or to reasonable extent. So if you're talking about the test planning or test designing or execution and reporting, everything we can automate. And also we can reduce the time it takes from your manual process. So ERPA, we have tools, techniques, and methodology which can reduce your effort to almost 70% minimum and beyond in many cases.
So Sai, that's a pretty big promise. How do we actually make that happen for our customers?
Well, let me take you through this manual effort. So if you look at this chart here, so this is, I mean, the promise is big, and we have done it in many clients, and we have seen that it is like 70% is minimum and beyond. So if you look at, if we take an example of an application upgrade, it's if you're upgrading any of your financial system or campus or HR system, it's in a long process of a year, almost like 24 months. If you look at 24 weeks is consumed in this testing process. And it involves various environments, from starting from your unit testing to your system testing to system integration testing to UAT and so on and so forth. And creating the script, planning all those steps, it takes a lot of time. So by cutting down to close to 70%, we are achieving efficiency and better utilization of your resources as well. And how do we do that? Here, we have pre-created automated test scripts that reduces the time. So we have ERPA, we have thought through every scenario, every transaction that PeopleSoft offers and beyond. And you just pick those modules, pick those scripts, and we execute them based on your data, based on your environment. And that's how we reduce this time. And this, I know every customization and everything is also involved here, but those things, everything is taken care.
So how do you track new data during the testing process, and how do you account for the decisions that the subject matter expert makes during the testing?
So first of all, our scripts are very smart scripts. They are they derive their intelligence based on the data. So all the process, we have close to 2,400 to 2,500 scripts across all these pillars, and each script, they derive their data elements from your system, from the PeopleSoft system. And they, like, for example, if you're creating a new student, it can automatically generate the student ID based on the PeopleSoft delivered processes. It can generate and pass the student ID to the next step process. So when it can string together various processes involved there, it can make decision based on these data. Hiring a student in HR, and if existing, you don't have to provide a student ID. It can automatically utilize those student ID that is existing, and the functions from PeopleSoft are utilized. And so that's how it is, like smart script is being created here for this purpose. And also based on the situation, these scripts handle the errors, the warnings, what it needs to do. It kind of navigates through the system the way any human would actually do that, based on the intelligence built into the script, using the script as well as the data. So for example, even a newly created employee ID during the process can be passed on to the subsequent process, and not only to a process, but across the application as well. I will see that down the line. So this is what our intelligence scripts do.
So one of the challenges I think a lot of people face in testing is that there are third-party applications and other integrations that are included in testing scripts. How do you account for those?
So that's a great question. So that's one of the strong points of our tool here. So you could have PeopleSoft products. I mean, you're having HR or financials or campus solutions. You could have any testing is incomplete without having an integrated end-to-end testing. And what it means is you can start off your testing from one application, and you can travel through multiple applications. Meaning you can, if I take an example of creating a department, that's whenever you're creating a department, you create those org in your HR, and then you have to sync it up into your financial system. And then there could be other, like standalone systems, the web-based systems outside of these PeopleSoft world, those where you have to go and reflect these changes. So you can add the script together to be executed in multiple systems. They're totally logically not even connected. So basically what our script does is logs into one system, creates that data, and using those IDs, it'll go log out of that system, go to the new area, and logs into that environment and creates executes that script, that testing scenario, and completes that. So that capability is available in our scripts and data. So one of the other example is our reporting OBEIE. So where you have to wait for end of the day for performing these testing. It can go across multiple applications and execute these the scripts so that you get an integrated end-to-end testing in one time, one shot.
That's great, thanks. So how do you test for mobile users or for users who might be using different browsers based on their preferences?
Good question. So these days, everything is mobile driven. So there are many, starting from the students, they available in their PUM. The employees, they want all their self-service and the expenses and everything in their PUM. It's also mobile driven. So that demand, we have to cater to that demand. So we perform all our testing scripts. Anything that is the PeopleSoft provides the functionality that is used in a mobile technology can be tested through the mobile. By the way, we now more and more fluid usage is coming, and fluid is all across multiple devices. So testing for those things can be utilized. Our scripts can utilize those mobile testing for fluids as well. In fact, as a matter of fact, we are doing a fluid presentation a month from now. So please stay tuned on for that and learn more about the fluids as well. So and our scripts are mobile independent, and also they are browser independent. So across various types of browsers, it can work, and it can successfully ensure the quality and consistency. And that's what you want. I mean, you want to ensure every area is tested.
Great. So how repeatable are these automated tests?
So this is how we are our product is. So once we have generated these testing based on your environment, your data, your customizations, and it can be reused across various environments. So you don't have to rekey any of the data. The data elements are already available. So across your platform, it can be it is integrated across all your multiple applications. By the way, we can also stress and load test for this thing. As I mentioned earlier, you have typical periods where you have open enrollment and all those kind of things, and during that time you want to test your stress and performance. If you have 25,000 students in your university system, you want at least 1,000 to 2,000 concurrent users to be tested. So we have the ability to do the stress and load testing along with this as well. I mean, that's a more detailed tool that we can have another conversation. Right now we are focusing on the functional testing, but we can combine those functional testing, stress and performance testing together across all devices, all browsers, all mobile operating systems, and it can be done repeatedly. And as a matter of fact, after it is done in the dev, the time to execute this testing drastically reduces. As a matter of fact, as you will see down in one of our case studies, we did the entire UAT in 4 to 5 days in one of our clients. So the repeatable tests can be used across the project lifecycle various times as demand rises and the base changes.
That's great. Now, what kind of management views do you have so that we can see how the testing is progressing?
So this is very important. So in many of these projects, we have seen that the testing itself is, as you've seen, like it's so many challenges it poses. Just to consolidate what is going on during this testing and keep a track is very critical, and that doesn't happen. It's a very manual centric in order to track where we are on the testing and what is pending, what needs to be done. So all these information is available in our dashboards. We provide by module, by the state of the script throughout the period of the project. Not only that, so the typical testing is, this is not a test pass or fail. It's got an input. So we use the data, we run the script, execute it, and it's got an action involved, and it also got the output. So we also provide the log files for every details, what kind of testing has been done, what are the results, and you can be keeping that forever. And also the screenshots of every navigation this tool has touched. And we're going to see more about that as we see the product. So the managed reporting is fully available, and so the management is well aware of what is going on into the project. So to summarize, what are we benefiting by automating this testing? A, the productivity. It frees up the business and the testing resource. So many of the projects don't even take off because we are the testing, just thinking about the testing and the integration testing, the downstream testing itself keeps you away because there are conflicting priorities. So with our tools, your productivity is intact and increases. The time, it reduces the testing time by 70% as we have shown you and seen, and the quality of the product. As you have a flexibility to run this repeatedly into your data across the environments, you can catch all the multiple issues, and all the critical issues can be caught before it gets into the production. So with all these things, it also increases your cost saving tremendously, and the affordability is also very high for this product.
Great. So could you walk us through what a typical implementation looks like?
Sure. So just a quick, very high-level summary here. So it's, for us, for ERPA's automated tool, there are only like two things that you do. One, you, based on your module, based on your pillar, based on your scope, what you want, you select the scripts from our library. So we have a library of close to 2,500 scripts. So based on the modules that you use, you can pick and choose what, and then anything that you customize or you have bolt-ons, we can tailor those. So those things can be done during our initial requirement phase, and we assign those script libraries to you guys. With that, we have pre-created data template. So and those data template can be refined based on your data. So if you look at the screen below here, if you have a requisition or item, you have all the data information pre-populated for your data scenarios. You can tweak it by using your business unit and stuff. So that's where we help you to find that, and then boom, we are ready to execute these scripts. And when you execute these scripts, you get your log files for each and every process involved in your testing script. And also it captures step-by-step action that is executed during the process, like the screenshots. And these screenshots, you can actually use it for training purpose later as well. And of course, you get management reporting and dashboard at every level for tracking your progress of the testing. So that's simple it is. Now I'll take you to a typical implementation steps as how do we start off the project. get into the project, there are two areas. What client does, that's the middle, the client's responsibility, the ERPA's responsibilities. These are split into 6 stages, and these 6 stages are throughout the project lifetime. Taking an upgrade or a PUM upgrade implementation, the initial stage where we work on a unit testing environments, we work with the team to secure the security so that we can access through VPN and all those kind of information. We get the access to your environment, your documentation, just to see what kind of things you are doing, your requirement. Then we prepare the menu for you and from your modules. These are the scripts that are available, what you want to test, what business process that you're using, what you're not using. Based on that, you can do the script selection, and we tailor your script based on your business process wherever the exceptions are there, which 80-90% of the times it is the standard process, and then there are exceptions that are dealt with or tailoring. So if you see that list down below, number 2, we have close to 1,000 HCM scripts, 1,200, 1,300 finance, and then campus scripts available to select from based on your modules that you have turned on. And these things are executed in a development environment to perform the unit testing. Once that is done, the data template is all updated. We are ready to push that into any number of environments. So we have taken this example as like if you're using like 6 big modules, it takes 4 to 6 weeks, in fact, lesser or more, depending on if there are too many customizations or bolt-ons. And then it usually takes a week of execution per environment. So it's 3 to 5 weeks in terms of the closing the project altogether. So that's the end-to-end process, very clean, very clear. And it's hardly a week or 2 weeks is where the client is actually engaged during this calendar week of a 10-week project for a big upgrade.
Well, that's great, Sai. Now, one of the things you mentioned I think is pretty cool, and that is that you can actually use this to create end user documentation because of the screenshots. I think that's an additional benefit worth looking at. So
absolutely.
Yeah, can you show us how this tool works? Can we see some of these tools in action?
Sure. So I have 3 of the videos that we have prepared so that we can show this with the streaming process seamlessly instead of clicking those buttons here. So what we have in this first scenario is we're going to add a student, admit a student, and enroll a student to a course. This is a straightforward, clean scenario, and this we have taken up as a campus solution. So just hold on for a second. I'll just kick off this.
We will now demonstrate a campus solution scenario, which is stringed together with 3 processes: add a student, admit a student, and enroll a student to a course. As you see, the data template contains all critical elements that are needed for these processes, including the login credentials, so once the script is kicked off, it logs into the PeopleSoft environment, navigates through the student person creation page. Here you see it's navigating right now. And once it opens up the page, it takes all the information provided in the spreadsheet and also the default information based on the PeopleSoft process and populates them in the relevant pages and sub-pages. And in the process, it'll also generate a student ID for this particular transaction. And once all this information is populated, the transaction is successfully saved. Now it navigates into the next step, which is admitting a student. So here it goes to a quick admit student page, and takes the data that's been already saved and populates them here, like student ID and all the other necessary information, and saves it to successfully admit the student. The next and the last step is enrolling a student to a course. Now the process takes you to the quick enroll student page and enrolls the student to the 2020 summer course. Here it's picking up the physics, and the lab, which is a pre-required course, automatically gets added into that. So now we go back and double check if the courses have been enrolled. So there you see, so it's been successfully enrolled, and you can see both the courses being available there. That completes our scenario here. And it also captures the log file with all the details of what was the information that was provided in the spreadsheet, as well as each and every step. The other thing we also provide is the screenshot of every click, every page, the process navigated. So here you see all the detailed screenshots of every step. This can be used for any training purposes, or it stays as a record for you. So with that, the scenario of adding a student, admitting a student, and enrolling a student is now complete.
Okay, so that was the campus solution scenario we just saw, and you could see how the script could go across the adding and admitting and enrolling and passing the parameters across. So that was really cool. So this way you can string any number of processes together for your testing. So our script has got the capability to even deal with the negative scenarios. What we call the negative scenario is when a failure has to happen. We are testing a negative scenario. That's important. Every time we are testing about how it should work, but we also should regress these processes to ensure that the negative test is conducted. And this is one example where we're going to demonstrate right now, is where benefit assignment fails for an employee because lack of the employee coverage begin date kind of a data. So I'll demonstrate that now.
Now we will demonstrate a negative testing scenario. This is employee benefit enrollment, where we're going to supply some missing information via our data template for this testing script, and we will demonstrate how it fails. So before we go there, we'll show you the data template, and if you look up, there is a employee ID provided in column B, for which we're going to change, and then coverage begin date is blank. So without this, PeopleSoft will not save the transaction, and that's what is the testing scenario here. So as we kick off this testing script, the script will log into PeopleSoft and navigate through to the benefit pages. So as you see, it's navigating into the benefit page. There you go, with the health benefits, and it's pulling the information for that employee and populating data based on the data template, and it leaves the coverage begin date blank, as you see. And once all the information is entered by the script, it tries to save, and it gets this error. And that was the intent of this testing. And you can go back to the log file which is provided, which kind of gives you step-by-step logging information, what information data it saved, and whether the result was pass or fail. It's failed from a system point of view because it didn't save the transaction, but it is a success for us, as that's what the negative testing was about. And we can also see all the steps it navigated through. So all those things are captured in the screenshot PDF. So this kind of stays as your record, and as well it can be used for other training purposes because it captures the exact scenario and the navigation involved in this testing. So with that completes our negative testing of employee benefit enrollment.
So that was that. So I also wanted to mention here that here, if you have seen that spreadsheet, data sheet had one employee created, we can have multiple employees with the different scenarios that can be created in one shot with one data sheet that we wanted to do. So basically, in the past, we have in one of the clients, we have created like 200 different types of employees, and even if one fails, the testing would still continue, log on, and if there are like 20 failure scenarios combined with 40 clean scenarios, it will still go through that and capture all those things in our log files and screenshot and stuff like that. So the next scenario I wanted to show is a little complicated in the sense that this scenario is a financial scenario where we are creating a requisition, approving a requisition. So this, you're going to see a workflow approval process involved here, and also sourcing of a PO, which involves a backend process. So PO sourcing process, and then you will also see how it kind of works with the process monitor and all those kind of things. So it's like and as part of the workflow, it's going to do a multiple login and log out as well. So that's the scenario we're going to quickly show you.
So now we will demonstrate a complicated financial supply chain scenario. This is creation of requisition, approving, and then sourcing it to a PO. This scenario involves 3 different users, a workflow, as well as a backend process, and the data sheet is completed with all the relevant information that is needed for this 3 stringed process together, including various user information as well as the data like requisition, description, and so on and so forth. So once it logs in to the system, it reads the data template. The script is now getting executed. It's logging in as a submitter, and it's the information from the data template is pulled to populate the special requisition that is being created, as you see in the screen. The information is either taken from the data sheet that we have supplied or the default information that is set up in PeopleSoft. Once this is submitted, there you see the confirmation of the requisition being created. Now the script will automatically log off the user from here to log in as the approver profile, and in order to approve that requisition. So as you see, it's navigating to the approver page and approves the requisition. And once this is done, it will log out of the approver profile. Now somebody like a buyer profile logs in order to kick off the PO auto sourcing process for that particular requisition to create the PO. So now you see that the new requisition ID is automatically passed on to the multiple different scripts, and it's kicked off, and now the process is waiting to be completed. The script is smart enough to click the refresh button to keep checking whether the process is complete. So once it's success, now it kind of navigates to confirm that the PO has been successfully created. So it puts up the requisition, and there it pulls up the PO information. And as you see, the PO number has been created successfully. So that completes our scenario, and it also tracks everything into the log file. Here you see all the information, including the section highlighted, which says what were the information that were pulled from the data sheet, and all the specific steps involved is captured. And as every testing, we also capture the screenshots and the navigations of every step involved in these scenarios, which is provided as a PDF file. So there you see all these steps that were involved. And with that, the whole testing scenario is complete.
That's great, Sai. Thank you. So this tool can go across application pillars, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it can also incorporate other third-party solutions.
Absolutely. Anything that is a web-based solution, it can accommodate, and we can create scripts for that.
I particularly like the fact that it can press the refresh button multiple times, because I can't tell you how many times I've hit refresh over and over again. So
yeah, I know the Sparky, the dog.
yes, press the puppy. That's an inside joke for you old timers. So Sai, can you tell us about a couple of customers who've utilized this and what they've experienced from it?
Absolutely. So one of the customers that has utilized this is an education institute. Let me hold on one second, but if you're able to see the next screen. All right, there we go.
There.
Sorry for that. So we have done the functional testing projects in multiple places, and this one that we are talking about is one of the universities. So they have close to 73,000 users, and we did their both HCM as well as we were involved in the campus as well. And they had for the HCM, they had like close to 7 modules and multiple bolt-ons, and they had close to 7 schools within their within that group. And their challenge was the project was already on flight, and there were a lot of issues that were they were facing in terms of the testing, and it was delaying their project. So the project was almost 3 weeks delay when they saw our testing capability tool and got us into the project. And within a week, we could align all our scripts and their requirements in. That was a very fast turnaround, and utilized close to 400 plus HCM scripts for their test cases. And we turned around the project, and we were able to hire close to 200 plus totally distinct employees, and it was tested in repeated testing was performed in environments to their satisfaction. And not only that, we also did the stress and load testing for close to 400 concurrent users for their system. So we brought the project back to the schedule, and the unit testing was completed in a week, and we completed the rest of the testing in a couple of weeks in various other environments. So the best part was the production quality was awesome with very minimal issues. So they had almost no issues kind of a scenario on the HCM areas. So that was a very successful implementation.
Sai, were they configured as multiple instances, or was it all these universities in a single instance?
They were in multiple instances.
Okay. Thank you. And you've got another one here. What about this next organization?
So the next one here, this is again, I would take you to the financials side of the story. So this is one of the very big food industry organization who is the revenue and the user base, and you're seeing that it's close to 3,000 user base. They had close to modules. Here, their challenge was the resource availability. So earlier we were talking about the situation where the humongous work effort to get all those testing done. Here, the challenge was there were multiple things going on in the client. So especially when you're talking about the financial system folks, they have day-to-day, month-to-month, month closing, and all those kind of things. There are hardly any time for the functional business user to spend on testing new system or testing customizations and upgrades. So that's where we got into one of their upgrade project. And this project was also getting delayed because of the availability of the functional resources. So we performed all these transactional testing for all the 10 module within the 4 to 5 weeks. End to end, it was like 4 to 5 weeks we could complete the entire suite of 10 modules, and the user acceptance was done in a week's time. And we also had one big bolt-on that was included, and that bolt-on was pretty significant because it had a lot of integrations going into the financial system.
That's great. Thank you. We've got a few minutes left for some Q&A, and you can, I don't know if we're going to unmute people or if you can type in Q&A.
So they can type in I think I have one question. So the question is about how do we maintain our scripts based on customizations, based on the changes to the PUMs and stuff like that. So the ERPA's testing as service provides you an opportunity to subscribe, and we can come in and execute this testing scenarios for you guys. There are things we can do some select modules, or we can do a complete end-to-end. And when the first time when we are engaged as part of the complete end-to-end process, we are creating based on your system, we are also creating a customized script for your tailoring script for your requirement, and we maintain that for with our system. And as the time passes by, and 6 months, 8 months down the line, and you have another bunch of pumps that are collected, and you want us to come back again, we take it from where we left, and the delta is only what you have done in a few months time. So that's how we keep maintaining our scripts for various versions of PUM releases. So that's how we maintain, and that's our investment. And trust me, when we come back second time, it's the time it takes for these testing is even shrink shorter, because we already have your system information, we already have your customizations, so it's only the delta from the period where we last implemented or deployed. There is go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, excellent. Do we have any other questions from the audience?
So there is another interesting question about comparison with PeopleSoft testing framework. So I would like to show this comparison here. So we have compared PeopleSoft testing framework, point by point. There are things that the automation and environment independent things are common, but the things that PeopleSoft PTF doesn't have is, as I mentioned, we have data-driven repeatable tests, or logic and process. The scripts are smart or intelligent scripts. They go across multiple applications. It could be PeopleSoft or non-PeopleSoft, any web application across and test. It's mobile compatible. It can be combined with the stress testing or performance testing as well. It goes across all browsers, and it is repeatable, and even the data that is being used can be tested across various environments, from your development to test to QA onwards. So you're not environment, and the migration and portal is not a problem at all. So, and not only that, look at the last line here. It can be integrated to your ticketing system. We have integrated to ticketing systems like Jira. So when you do a testing failure or something like that, we can send that information, and a ticket or something can be created in your ticketing system like Jira or HP. Even we can integrate it to a QA environment, QA software system, where you have a combined dashboard. So we have all those capabilities. So that's why ERPA's testing services is preferred.
Great, thank you. we have any other questions from the audience?
So, as you have already seen, I just want to reiterate the fact here is this tool frees up your business and testing resources. It reduces your testing schedule by more than 70%, and the quality of product that you get into your production is almost bug-free or test-free once we test with our product. So that's a high quality, and with all these things, you are saving a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of resource time, a lot of burnout time, and everything. So that's what. So much like the university we are talking about. Once we did the HCM, they came back for the campus part to us. So once they utilize this, they see the value for our product, and they come back again and again. So that's where we excel. And then the further iterations when we do, it's even a shorter period of time. So you're saving more as well.
Aha, here we go. I see some questions now. So one person asked us, do you have a standard price list? And the answer is yes. But we'd like to share that with you offline. How do you validate the results of a payroll run test? Sai?
Yes, we can validate the payroll run test. We can create based on the run parameters, based on what group it is running. We can put checkpoints into the scripts. We can check in terms of the total, the dollar amount. We can check on total count. We can check on total. There can be a checkbox. We can string together all your pay process list in our script, and we can string together, and we can provide intelligence for them to automatically test and log that information back in terms of how we can validate that the completion of all the calculated steps and completion of whatever is our expectation in terms of the totals. We can do that.
Okay, thanks. We have another question. Can you demonstrate an example of stress testing? And the answer is, we aren't really prepared to do that this morning. But if you contact us offline, we can talk to you about that. There's another question here. Yes.
I just wanted to add that we performed a performance test for a healthcare industry where they were acquiring big hospitals and stuff, and we were able to perform for the entire financials and HR what would be the projected load that they're going to get. So we can surely do that.
Great. Okay. There's another question here. With continuous customizations, how does keeping these scripts updated work, particularly for newly added projects with new PUMs in particular, since full upgrades are less frequent, at least with campus solutions? You sort of addressed this.
I sort of addressed that. So we frequently maintain our scripts based on the PUMs, and the customizations are only delta from time to time once from the cycle where we test at the client, and when we come back and perform these tests as part of the subscription.
Yes. Then we have another one here. How much time will it take to update the framework when application is migrated from older version to new version?
So if you're talking about migrating from 9.1 to 9.2 or 9.0 to 9.1 and things like that, if you're talking about the time frame is like it's a cycle of like 3 months, 3 to 4 months compared to your the entire year involved. But it's the general ballpark time in keeping in mind very basic customizations and stuff like that. It's like PeopleSoft movement, all the delivered process and stuff like that. So that's, but if your level of customizations and bolt-ons are existing, then it adds on more time because we will not know your bolt-ons and customization. So there is some customization of scripts or tweaking of scripts that happen. So that that consumes a little bit more time, but that is for one environment once. So that's the time increases only for that initial development environment. Rest, it's going to be that same cycle. It's like a couple of weeks, not more than a week or two.
Okay, great. One more question here. How do we pick the test data? Is it manually provided in the data template or randomly picked up from the database?
So we have pre-populated data for generic information. So once we get access to your environment, we populate some of the data there, and then we work with you in terms of what kind of scenarios you want to provide. So you populate those kind of things. For example, if you have 4 types of requisition, then you want to test 4 specific type of vendors. So you're going to take that template, and in the requisition testing, you're going to see, okay, these are the types of vendors I want to key in. So you're going to put those vendors IDs and stuff like that. But then the majority of pre-populated data is still existing, but you want specific type of scenarios, specific type of testing. That's where the users are going to populate the data templates, which is already pre-populated. You're going to do some refining things on that based on the scenarios that you want to test.
Okay, great. Do we have any other questions? If not, I guess that completes our seminar. Any final words, Sai?
I think this is, if I have in the past run PeopleSoft organizations, finance, HR, and I've always, my decisions on customizations PUM is based on how well I can do the testing. If some magic tool comes and takes care of the testing, then that's wonderful. And this is that magic tool and the testing as service ERPA brings, that you can be rest assured that it is done fast, timely, increases your productivity, quality, saves your money, and you have a bug-free product in your production, and you can do more to provide your users the best services that you can.
All right, well, thank you, Sai, and thank you all for attending. We appreciate it. Please feel free to reach out to us offline if you have any questions or would like to see a further demo of this. So thanks so much and have a great day. Take care.